like, what are your rules? How do you know what are your rules that that you're on course, off course? How do you know, how do you judge? Do you set yourself up to have, to win with small wins, or does it have to be like this grandiose, thing to make it go? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, we've talked about this many times, right? And different people, like you and I, operate differently around this, and there are many other ways of operating that are different than the way we operate, right?
For sure.
So it's a really good question to ask. Good morning, by the way.
Good morning.
What's going on that's awesome for you right now?
Well, it is gorgeous out here, down here, I should say. The weather and for the last 2 days has been like actually enjoyable outside, and up to this point, it's been like at 5 a.m. When we go out to walk the dogs, it's like 80 degrees and humid, and it's like at 5 a.m. But like it's yesterday at 10 a.m. It was like crisp, and it wasn't like cool, but it was like enjoyable. And for the first time in a long time, I actually stopped and enjoyed the day. So that was really nice, and still continues to be.
Yeah, I mean, tough to come by in Florida in the middle of the summer, right? A little reprieve from the heat. Like,
yep.
That's a rare gem,
right?
That's very cool. My mom and my sister both live in Florida, so I talk with them regularly and often have the overheat conversation.
Yeah, is your mom near Sarah, or is she in someplace else entirely?
They're both in St. Pete. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, do you get up at 5 every day?
Every day.
My God.
It's been that way. I mean, for the last 10 years.
And you're how old?
I'm old.
No. I want to gauge here.
God, I'm trying to figure it out. I think I'm 53, or I'm going to be 53.
I think you're exactly 10 years older than me, because I'm 43. So it's been that way for 10 years. So
you were born in 77?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I need to start now? I'm supposed to start getting up at 5 a.m. now?
Well, we started getting up that early when we got our second puppy, and we wanted to walk when it was still cool out, and our second puppy ended up being very, very rigid and structured, and like anything out of routine. So that's really like, he wakes us up if we don't wake up. And
okay,
so that's really what has created.
It wasn't entirely a choice. It was a choice that you accepted, and then
right. We could have re-engineered it, but we didn't.
So the puppy was the catalyst, but you and Kathy both get up at 5 a.m. So It's a mutual choice to get up before the sun.
For sure.
Interesting. Yeah.
I've always been an early riser anyway, so. Like when I was at the heyday trying to build out, several businesses and going, kind of crazy doing that, I used to get into the office at 3 a.m., between 3 and 3:30 every morning, because I had to, before the rest of my team came in, I had to have like 4 hours of uninterrupted time to get caught up on the productive stuff and be focused before I start getting interrupted and before I have to start putting out fires. And the other thing was that we worked with a development team in the Ukraine, and they were 7 hours later than us. So I had to use that productively, that 7 hours, so that I could give them the feedback that they needed for their next day early on in my day. And then, the next day I would get their feedback early in the morning so that I could then give them what the next steps were in the process that needed to happen. So.
Yeah, well, if you were going to the office at 3 a.m., dude, like, no wonder you burned out.
Yeah, it's funny because I was talking with...
That's crazy.
I was talking with one of my mentors and partners at the time, and we were remarking, like, when either one of us left the office and went home before 7 in the evening, it felt like a half day. Like we were slacking if we left at 6.
Well, that's legit, though. Like, leaving like leaving before a normal person's dinner time when you're hustling, like that's okay. But 3 a.m. getting into the office at 3 a.m. I don't know.
No, but what I'm saying is that we had already put in like a 16-hour day at 6
Right.
in the evening, right? You know, so like that was like, oh wait, you know, something's off. We're not, we're not hustling enough, and that's how I know. Frankly, that's one of my rules now, that I'm off course if I'm doing that kind of intensity and not, seeing how it's like productively moving me forward, or if I'm not being balanced, then I know that I'm off course. And it's time to do some course correction.
And I'll tell you what, it is so easy to be like, hey, my relationship's going good, my family's going good, I'm making money, I'm in good shape. I can work my ass off right now and ignore all that other stuff, and everything will be fine, right?
Yep.
No.
Well, and it's a judgment call, and I think everybody has to make that call for themselves. You know what I mean? Like, it's it's a judgment call, and like lately, I've been working 7 days a week again, but it's the kind of stuff that still fills me up with energy. Now, when I start getting Snaposaurus, as I'm sure you can tell,
that's a good one. That's a good one, Joshua. You should start writing from Snaposaurus.
I'm not sure people like Snaposaurus because
you can channel that shit so well.
When my inner Snaposaurus comes out at the house here, Kathy goes into the kitchen and gets me a protein bar and puts it gently in front of me, or sometimes not so gently.
Yeah, I wish someone would give me a protein bar when I get cranky. Usually people just end up yelling back. Yeah. Fascinating. Snaposaurus. I like that. So
that's a good idea, though. I like the character.
Yeah, I think people would talk. I mean, that reminds me of this crazy character.
Do you watch stand-up at all, ever? Are you a
comedy?
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, I live in rural Vermont, so like, there's not too much live stand-up. There's like one place that I went to a couple of times in Greenfield, Massachusetts, and it was pretty bad. And I went
like, did you ever watch DVDs or comedy specials? Stand-up?
I never. So, like, I know I'm sarcastic and I make funny jokes, and like I can be pretty funny sometimes, but I've never. I didn't like my family. Like the family I grew up in, like didn't really enjoy comedy at all, and so I didn't grow up around any type of comedy. I never started watching comedy, and so I never like got into watching shows to laugh for the purpose of laughing. I tend to watch action adventure. I tend to lean sci-fi superhero in almost everything, like or cartoons when I'm watching something. I never even think to watch comedy.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll tell you what, man, there's a real art to a good stand-up in terms of how to read the room and how to, I mean, like, stand-up is hard, like, to be able to do it well. Right. And it's such I mean, like, I love watching it just for myself because that's my release is laughing but then the art, when you start dissecting it, and somebody like Jerry Seinfeld or Kevin Hart, when you see what they do to be as good as they are and how prepared they are, and I mean, it's just brilliant. There's the reason why I'm asking you this is something that we talked about yesterday when you were telling me the story about working as a snow bunny or whatever, and the coffee.
I definitely wasn't a snow bunny. I was definitely tuning skis, but no snow bunny.
All right, well, all right. That was
that would have been a totally different job.
I was taking liberty with your story.
Totally different job.
But
perhaps in my future, I don't know.
You were talking about the coffee that you had, and I was wondering if you ever saw. I think it was Ralphie May. I don't know if you know him. He passed away a few years ago, but hilarious stand-up guy. And I want to find. I think it was him. He's talked about going to I think it's called Little Cuba in Miami, and where he wanted a cup of Cuban coffee. And, like the Cuban coffee is tiny little thimbles full of coffee because it's so intense, so strong. So he had the guy make him like that, but fill it all up to a full size coffee cup, and the routine is just hilarious. And uh, your story yesterday reminded me of it. I was gonna look for it and see if it was on YouTube that I could find it for you.
I would love to check it out. That makes me think of several things. So the first is that I've noticed there's a whole generation of internet marketers. I don't know if you've seen this or not. I like to think of them as the next generation younger than me. And this isn't necessarily about age, but it's about what age, like
when they came into the picture,
right?
Yeah.
So this is like internet marketers of Kurt Molly's generation, right? And like a 5 to 10 year like shift, and a ton of them, especially ones that are like hip internet marketers who live in the hip internet marketing cities, end up going and getting trained to do stand-up and start doing stand-up comedy as a way of improving their improv skills, improving their ability to connect with the audience, and all this kind of stuff. I'm starting to get interested in it. But like the challenge that I have is I have no problem getting on stage. I found that when I was a kid, I hung out with the drama kids, right? Like in high school, like the nerdy drama kids,
right?
But I could never memorize lines. For the love of fucking God, I couldn't.
Yeah, but you have a process that you follow. I mean,
well, I do now, but back then, like learning how to memorize lines and then act from stage, totally at a young age, I was like, oh, I can't act, I can't perform from stage, and so I got over that by becoming a heavy metal singer, right? Where I screamed so loud that no one could understand my words anyway, so it was fine. And then later on, I got trained in public speaking and webinars and teleseminars and all that kind of stuff. And but the thing is that I hate being prepared. Is like the thing that drives me nuts. Like in the case of comedy or whatever, it's like you learn how to drop a joke or a series of things in a way that like you do it over and over and over again until you're a super master. Same thing with like magicians or stage hypnotists, where entertainers, where you're doing the same show hundreds, thousands of times.
Yeah.
And for me, the whole thing that I like the most is not being prepared. Like the adrenaline rush of not knowing what the fuck I'm going to say in the next couple of minutes is the best for me. So anyway, it's interesting.
Well, then stand-up comedy is something that you should probably look into, because the interesting thing, I forget where I heard this just recently, but that I found fascinating is that you could have a kill in front of one audience. Right. And I mean, like have it down cold, and then the next day in the same city, and nobody laughs.
Same show, right?
Like yeah. And so it really does mean that you have to adjust based upon where your audience is, and you have to have that kind of interaction, feedback, and such.
Well,
what I would recommend, two things I would recommend to you if you're interested.
Yeah,
one is Jerry Seinfeld has a series called Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, and he gets together with all of his comedic friends, and he picks out a specific car, like a type of car that he thinks would be exemplify who the person is and their inner Snaposaurus or whatever personality that comes out, right? Yeah. And they from there he then talks shop with comedians, like what, and it's fascinating to see what all of them talk about behind the scenes and what they believe and how they think about it and so on. So that's one thing. The other thing is anything by Dave Chappelle, but in particular, if you've got Netflix, look up Dave Chappelle. He's got like 3 stand-up specials in the last like 2-3 years that are phenomenal. But he also has a stand-up special where he was given the Mark Twain Award prize. for comedic genius or something.
Okay.
And how the way that people tell stories about him and his philosophies about life, I think you'll really, I mean, if this is any kind of interest to you, I highly recommend it. I've watched it a couple times because it's fascinating to me to adopt some of these things as much as I can myself, because I don't, I'm far from a stand-up, but.
So this gives me two ideas. One is for everyone doing Facebook Lives. And I know that a lot of people that are following us are utilizing 99 Days or just freestyling and starting to do Facebook Lives. I know that a lot of our internet marketing colleagues have been watching us from afar, and slowly but surely people are starting to do more of these things, which is pretty sweet. But I've noticed that, I mean, I don't know how many Facebook Lives we've done together at this point, but a crap load.
Yeah.
And
a bunch.
For me, I don't know what your experience is like, but my experience is we're getting much better at playing off each other.
Yeah.
Dealing with the various technical snafus that are they're inevitable, but they come up over and over again, and be able to just kind of roll with it.
Right.
And the different types of conversations that, like the cadence and figuring out how to bounce off each other better instead of just like monologuing forever and forgetting the other person's there and like all that stuff.
Guilty.
Right? Totally guilty, right? But do you know Good Mythical Morning?
No, not familiar with that.
Actually, would you do me a favor?
What?
Can you flip a switch and turn on your funny background off your green screen and see what happens?
At the half point?
Yeah.
All right, let me see.
Like maybe that weird bubbly one or something. I was thinking yesterday I wanted to see what it looked like, and I didn't mention it. And I was thinking even today. That one's a little cheeseball.
Yeah, I did. I was trying to pick one. Oh.
It's funny because of your shirt. The dollar bills are floating on your shirt. And there's one like trying to peek through your third eye too.
Give me a good one, and then I can adjust this better. Yeah, see now I got something in the middle of my forehead.
That's right.
That's right. That's a little bit better.
You're going straight into the matrix with your pineal gland.
Yeah, and if let's see. Can I? No, I can't adjust that. Wait, if I do this, then I'm like your arrow going through your head.
That's right. That's exactly. That's perfect. That's perfect. So, so there's these two guys that were like best friends, and my son watched this for a long time. Torger watched this for a long time.
Tell me the name of this again.
Good Mythical Morning.
Good Mythical Morning. Okay.
It's a YouTube channel. It's two dudes. They're best friends, like growing up. And they just have an absolutely hilarious YouTube show. And they sell all sorts of Good Mythical Morning merch, and they do all sorts of stunts and pranks and just weird shit, and they talk about bizarre stuff. It's not really for our generation. Like, it's definitely geared to a younger, more hipster, whatever, like younger than me, like people in their 30s, I think, or younger.
Okay.
But they've been going forever, and I just realized that we could probably benefit from watching some of their shows and then learning from some of their banter, because there are a bunch of wildly successful YouTubers who have sports things and are definitely more entertaining than we are right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think our first intention is to be entertaining, more to provide insights and to interact. But I'm all for getting better and having better stage presence and getting engagement better for sure. Speaking of which, my buddy John, I don't know if you remember John Zakins, but he turned me on to a YouTube channel called No Life Shack. And he's hilarious. This guy reviews music, and like you should hear him though when he hears like what's the Leonard Skinner? Is it Freebird? What's the?
I think so. I don't know. I'm not much of a Leonard Skinner.
So I watched one of him do, like some classic rock stuff. Yeah. I mean, he does a lot of everything, but he's like, that was, like he stops he plays the video and he listens to it and then he hears a lyric and he stops. He goes, man, that was deep. Did you all hear that? I mean, like, it's hilarious. I got sucked into that for like an hour and a half one day. And I was like, thanks. That's like 90 minutes that I'm never going to get back in my life.
That's right. That's right. Well, I mean, but here's the thing though, right? Is when delivering education, when solving problems, when talking, when helping people, you can be boring as fuck and completely deadpan and completely non-emotional and connect with almost no one except people who are exactly like that. Or you can be engaging, entertaining, interactive,
right?
And connect with people on an emotional level. And so what this brings up for me is, hey, maybe comedy improv would be a thing for me to get good at, but more specifically, I think about all of our students who are doing 99 days videos, who struggle with perfectionism. Yeah. So is there anyone that's watching right now that's ever tried to live stream that struggled with like wanting to have everything that you're going to say figured out before you go live and finding that you spend days, hours, some people weeks, some people months, procrastinating and not ever turning on the camera because you want to have it be perfect before you go? This is a very common struggle that many people have that haven't trained their brain how to do this more on the fly, like in a live conversation, right?
Yeah. Improv is awesome for that, for sure. And the thing that I really love about improv is the yes and. Like the whole job of the team of improv is to take whatever somebody says and never go against it, never go backwards from it, but always go yes and plus it, and then move on from there. And so it becomes even more outrageous.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, it's a good attitude to have when you're in a conversation with someone, especially if it starts getting a little tense.
Carl says that not so much. He's off the cuff. Yeah, awesome, man. I think that's great. And also the, like my, as you well know, Thelma, my affliction with being on camera, more so than anything else, but is that the way I came up with is having to figure out how to get good in production camera work, like being good on camera, shooting infomercials and or creating products with multiple takes and all sorts of, studios and green screens and lights and, two cameras, three camera shoots.
Where being highly polished was the industry expectation.
Yeah. And it's a different environment, like everything's different, but, my style still is very much to be as I hope, even in that environment, connected and one-to-one as I possibly can. But what's been awesome with doing these lives with you is that, I agree with you. We're getting into a rhythm and I feel like we're getting better and better, but there's a comfort now. Like it's just like everything improves with age, but now I'm more concerned with getting, the time to work through ideas so that I can present them clearly. And I'm okay working through them with you, when they're completely muddled.
Right.
and figuring it out as we go.
Yeah, me as well. And I think we're both getting more clear on like what types of things each other are or aren't comfortable discussing or going into, right? In a live broadcasting environment, because these are things you learn over time.
But is there anything that's off limits for you? I mean, I can't imagine anything that either one of us would bring up.
I don't like to talk about conflict that I'm having with like family members.
Got it.
For example, that's kind of off limits. I definitely like if someone has totally fucked me, if someone has done something really bad, I try to avoid bad mouthing people if they've done something really terrible.
Yeah, stay to the positive. Yeah.
Even though I might feel like it, like I don't like. if I find myself feeling
Yeah.
negative about someone else, I keep it to myself. I also, is it off limits? I generally don't talk about politics, mostly because I don't think about politics very much.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But I avoid getting into political conversations because most of my style is very liberal and non-rule following and non-conformist or whatever, but a lot of my business sensibilities are much more conservative and capitalism supporting. And I often find myself getting into huge conflict and trouble with my kind of like more liberal anti-Republican friends because they can't come to terms with the idea that I, like, enjoy and support making money, and I think it's a great thing.
Yeah. It's actually not evil.
Yeah, that money is in no way, shape, or form evil. But a lot of my local friends have a really hard time hearing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't. Yeah, so those types of things.
But before we get too far off track, I want to acknowledge something that Carl said in The Art of Email Marketing. Said because it's so true. I think he's dead on. He said you have to get out of your own way to support others. And I think he may be talking in terms of improv as well. But yeah, God, like the more that you can be transparent and then allow what is in the moment to unfold, I couldn't agree more, Carl.
Carl, I'm very curious. It's been a long time since we've been in the same room together. Are you actively working on any entrepreneurial projects, or are you just kind of letting entrepreneurial projects kind of simmer in the background while you're mostly focused on family and your job and career? I'm just curious about where you're at and what you've been doing. And Carl is the Tesla, I'm going to say circuit board engineer, but that's probably not actually your title. It's probably insulting or something. Sorry if I just insulted you, Carl. I think you're awesome and super smart. But so,
yes,
I definitely recommend, if you want to get good at promoting your products and services, online or offline, in a sales environment and in a marketing environment, in any way, shape, or form, I really do recommend that you start doing daily Facebook Lives. Deeply and sincerely, from the bottom of my heart. Yeah. If you can get used to getting on camera every single day, talking about something that relates to your market and or the product or service and solution that you provide, and then doing something to pitch that directly or indirectly, you will get so comfortable talking with your audience and communicating and interacting with your customers that level of comfort alone will dramatically increase the confidence that new prospects have when they're talking to you, because you're confident about talking and pitching and selling and interacting and doing the whole thing with your stuff instead of being all freaked out and weirded out by it, right? Carl's currently working way more than full-time and also building out an online store. Awesome. What kind of stuff are you going to sell, Carl?
And let me ask you, because you asked me in the beginning, how do you know when you're being successful? What are your kind of established rules around it for you?
Yeah, it's changing. It's actively changing right now. As you all may or may not know, I'm riding the divorce train at the moment and going through that whole physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, financial upheaval process and reconfiguring my life, and I have 2 kids and the whole thing. And so a lot of my priorities over the last couple of years have been really changing, and my lens on what success means has been changing a lot. So this is interesting. So let me tell you how, for those of you who have partners or significant others or people that you expect to be your significant other in the not too distant future, whatever, someone that that you're living with, working with, spending a lot of your life with, and really need to run a lot of your decisions by or through in some way, shape, or form, and vice versa, right? I found that a really interesting trap that I fell into was I spent years developing the belief that I created my own reality. Okay? And I learned about this idea that like I was the center of the universe and everything around me was my creation. Okay? And what I focus on is what I'm going to get more of. And so if I'm focused on what I don't want, I'm probably going to get more of that. And if I'm focused on what I do want, I'm probably going to get more of that.
Right.
And getting super clear on what I want in the future, and or writing down goals, and or imagining it clearly, and or vision boarding it out, and or working toward those things, you know, in projects and courses that I enrolled in order to achieve the life that I want, to build the, you know, to buy the $1 million mansion, the whole thing, right? Is like you can create whatever you want in your life.
Yeah.
The problem that I had was that I was only creating what I wanted in my life. I wasn't focused on helping my partner to create what she wanted in her life. And so my picture of success was different. And it caused a great deal of problems. And so
collaboration, co-creation aspect is important too, so that you're growing in the same directions or can support each other growing in each of your individual directions at the same time.
Which is hard when those directions are in apparent conflict.
If you don't talk about it, yes, it's very hard. If you do talk about it and you can be all right, like, I mean, kind of like the way you can hold your opinions about capitalism to yourself and be all right that some of your friends can't be all right with you, you know, that you can hold two ideas and know that it's okay. Right. It's when you can't, you know, when you're making the other person wrong for whatever those other beliefs are, and you can't accept them even though you don't agree with them.
No, it's tricky. It's tricky, especially if you're gunning for creating the reality that you want and you have it clear in your head what you want, and you're not going to stop until you get it. Right?
Yes, but that's a smaller version of what's possible.
Totally. So the question is, how do I know when I'm successful? And the answer is, for me, I'm not really interested in being successful. I'm interested in striving for success. I like the challenge. I like the process of trying to scale the unscalable mountain, whether or not I make it to the top, and being engaged in that process.
So your rule around success that is pursuing something, but what is it that you like? You can be pursuing things that you're not, that aren't fulfilling to you or aren't don't meet with your definition of success. So like, what is it that you know, how do you have it in your mind that, or in your heart, that the pursuit is something that is exciting you, that is something, you know, like what is that?
Yeah. So the interesting thing about, I've been doing, I've been attempting to develop some discipline around journaling. And it's been very challenging for me. And in doing that, I realized that one of the things that I love is adventure and exploration. And so as I've gotten older and as my kids have gotten older, I've started taking less risks with my body. Now, I was never an extremist in terms of doing really, really, really crazy shit that would probably kill me every time. But, you know, I've jumped out of airplanes a bunch of times, and I've done a bunch of cliff jumping and rock climbing and caving, to, you know, so not super extreme, but pretty extreme. And I've found that I was like, oh, I don't want to die. I want to be able to see my kids grow up. And I stopped doing things that basically activated my adrenaline. And what happened was, slowly but surely, I got depressed. when I wasn't actively doing things that would scare the fucking shit out of me in some way, like really, like to wake everything up, like my excitement around life started to dwindle. And so I've realized that it's the pursuit of the adventure, the pursuit of the exploration that is what actually makes me happy. And I personally can do that by jumping out of a plane, or I can do it by trying to win a launch, right? But just working on the day-to-day business and slowly but steadily working toward a given financial goal in the business, it's important for stability and financial well-being and the well-being of your family and all these types of things. But it is boring as shit for me to operate in that environment. And so I'm currently trying in my personal life and my business life to stack up adventures that will grow the business on a consistent basis, but also feed my need for the adrenaline rush, really, I think.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because we have a lot of the same things in common. I mean, with your Futuristic is your number one strength, I believe. Mm-hmm. It's number two for me. So like everything that you were saying about like that adrenaline rush and getting depressed by not having it applies to me, but not in the form that it applies to you. Mm-hmm. Like to be running a business for the sake of running the business, or to say that I want to build $100 million a year business or whatever, like, okay, but that is not at all what drives me. It's that, it's that creating from nothing space. It's that, the future that I can see and touch in my mind, and that hasn't ever been for myself or for anybody for that matter, that I can somehow, pursue pulling into the present and making possible. That jazzes the hell out of me. That pursuit of that. And frankly, one of my weaknesses is also that, where like just the act of moving towards it and putting roots down, in my mind, I'm already experiencing it. So sometimes I stop there, right. It's like, okay, I'm done. I already lived that. Like, what's next?
Yeah, no, it's very interesting. And, for me, I mean, as I get older, I like certain things become more important, certain things become less important. I like things that used to be a big deal before are no big deal now, whatever. But
you'll never catch me even wanting to jump out of a plane, just for the record.
Yeah, it's like, for example, when I used to do a lot of like 5K races, right? I would win races, but I'd often get lost in the middle of the race because I couldn't remember the directions. I'd even walk through the freaking course in advance. I'd still screw it up. And I'd still have like 10 people pass me because I went on the wrong freaking trail. And then I'd have to go win the race by blowing past them again. And so
a little bit of self-sabotage so that you could come over the obstacle that you created.
Yeah, but that's happened over and over and over in every aspect of my life. And that's the moment where I'm like, oh crap, I took a wrong turn again. Now I have to kick it into high. That's the part, and there's no way I can win, but I'm going to anyway. Like that's the moment where I feel most alive.
Yeah, and that's definitely your mode of operation, so to speak.
Yeah, and it can really, really suck for family members and business partners sometimes if it's not put in check and there aren't systems in place to help balance it out.
Well, and also, I mean, one thing that I would just recommend is that as your team building, beyond me and our partnership and what we're doing, but as your team building to round out the unique ability team of your choosing, make sure that they have the autonomy to be able to run without you pulling them down so that you can still live in that space and do your stupid human trick, but it doesn't screw with them. It doesn't fuck them up so that they can still move forward with what you set in motion for them,
That's right. Yeah.
Jacqueline just said, adrenaline junkie, not easy to maintain as you grow older. Yeah. I'm a different sort of adrenaline junkie. I never have been, by the way. I'm not an extreme, never have been, just and have no desire to be. It's not like I've got an aversion to it. It just doesn't jack me up.
Outside of business, do you have any outlets for that give you that lift?
Nope. That's, it's funny because when I joined Strategic Coach back, I don't know, guess it was like maybe 2006, something like that, early on, into Joe's 25K group. I really liked what Joe was sharing from Strategic Coach. And so I joined, and the one of the main things I joined about was because of the concepts of actually having free days, focus days, and buffer days. And but what I discovered, and I remember Dan asking me, because we were partners at the time, and he was wondering why I joined Strategic Coach and what I was getting out of it. And I said to him, well, the first thing I learned is that I'm really fucking boring. Because like on your free days, you're not supposed to think about business. You're not supposed to talk about, you're not even supposed to read anything that's business related, right? Like you're supposed to completely unplug from that and be, totally present in fun stuff.
That's right.
I was bored out of my mind.
Right.
Because I didn't, like, all my reading that I did up to that point was, like nonfiction type stuff.
Right.
Or fiction based with the moral of the story is blank, for something that I was trying to work on with whatever,
Right.
And so it was very eye opening to me to notice that. And since then, I haven't gotten a lot of hobbies, but what I did start doing regularly that I really enjoy is meditating, and and really going inside and dealing with some of those inner demons that were running my show unconsciously that I didn't know about, and so there's a little bit of that I do, and to that end, but yeah, so. Yeah, but I don't have any hobbies. I don't have any. I don't really have any interests other than my dogs. That thrill me, and dogs in general. And like anytime my buddy John tells me about the personality of a breed and why some breed was bred for certain things, and they are trainable underneath this way because of the their instinctual breed that's generational built into them. That fascinates me. So like that, yes. But I really, I enjoyed skiing several years ago, but now I'm concerned about getting injured because like I can't fall down and get back up now and work, like that type of thing. So anyway. I don't know. That's probably something for me to get back to considering again.
Cool. Maybe you should take up spoon bending.
Maybe I should. Maybe I should also do some sort of improv or stand-up training or something.
Dude, I would totally do that with you.
Do they have a virtual thing, or is like their boot camps? Well, I guess we have to
we're in the middle of Corona. Like, if a stand-up comedian can't figure out how to like shift gears into a virtual training and improv a little bit, I would be shocked. I'm sure there are probably a bunch of like workshops that are happening. If we looked around,
that's a good idea.
There's probably something on masterclass.com too. I bet.
I bet there is.
Yeah. Or some of the other. There's probably some stuff on some of the other like whatever mega info product library sites.
Something that I do like also. It's kind of related to business, but I really enjoy.
Hey, I need you to monologue for a minute. My coffee just caught up with me. I have to run to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
Well, unaccustomed as I am to monologuing and being alone on with my thoughts and just keep on rambling. So Jacqueline says, Tellman, bend some thick metal bars like prison bars or something like that. Anyway, what else? Let's see. So let's talk about, like, for those of you that are tuning in and watching us, what are your definitions and rules around how do you know when you're being successful, and how do you know when, you've quote unquote failed, or that you're off course and that you need to correct course to get back on course? What are your rules around it? How do you interplay with that? Do you have any definitions of what it means to be successful in your mind? Do it. Yes. Prison bars, you mean? Yes, Jacqueline, or what do you mean? Benson thick metal bars.
By the way, I don't know if you've heard us say this, but Joshua and I have been keeping an eye on your live streams, and you have really upped your game. You've really stepped into it. I don't know what happened, but I'm interested in hearing, like all of a sudden you were very consistent and you were doing tons of videos and you were getting pretty good stuff, but like all of a sudden you seem to upgrade like your lighting, your background, your style, your attitude, your vibe, your like everything all of a sudden just went pop, and it just seemed like the quality of the videos that you're making just all of a sudden took it to a whole nother level. Was that a conscious choice? Did it happen organically, or did you how did that happen? Right. That's what I want to know, is what made the shift where you basically went from amateur to pro with your style. And I want to know,
was it just time in the saddle, or was there some intentional thing or some life situation that sparked it?
Yeah. Yeah. Or do you even know what the heck we're talking about? Is it just the same for you? What's the deal? So,
I love what Carl said about his definition of or his rules around how he knows he's being successful. If I'm helping others while it helps me, that's successful. Awesome. I love that definition. And I love how Jacqueline set it up to be successful, because that means that you can be successful everywhere. If I'm breathing, I am successful. It's the journey. Awesome. Because that, then you're always winning, right? It's the small wins in life. So that, I think it's at least for me, I don't know if everybody experiences this, but it's a push-pull, right? Like as an entrepreneur, I'm driven and I want to have lots of goals to pull me through. And so but I also want to be able to enjoy the moment and set myself up to win right now, today, and be happy where I am in the moment as I'm still pursuing something bigger, something more powerful. So that, and I sometimes find that when I get too dialed into being, I shouldn't say happy where I am, but comfortable where I am, and not, like I think the trick for me is to be okay wherever I am and enjoy wherever I am, but always be eager to expand into more, whatever that looks like and whatever that means. But where I am right now is cool. Like right. I'm not broken. I'm not incomplete. I am perfect right now. And also I'm expanding, and I can't wait to go to the next thing, so that I don't get too, like, if I'm not reaching for something, that's when I get depressed.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Agreed. Complacency is the worst. It's the worst. But it's nice to not be complacent, but also not have a chip on your shoulder. Right?
Good.
That's the trick. Otherwise, you get really grumpy and nasty, and you're just like, this sucks. We have to get to this better place. But nobody wants to get
judgmental, because now it's like there's right and wrong, right?
Right. It's very interesting. So, guys, if you are enjoying what we're talking about here, if you know where you're at with your business, but you really want to get to the next level, you want to expand to the next piece, you might want to consider this idea of a platform. So I learned this from Joshua. Joshua, I don't know if you learned it from someone else or if you just learned it through the experiences that you went through, but the idea here is that if financially speaking, if that's a big piece of what success means to you, is to be in a better position financially, to be making more money than you're spending, and hopefully to have income sources coming in that you don't have to work in every single day of your life in order to keep the money coming in. That's called a job, right? To have income producing assets as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. If this idea of, you could call it multiple streams of income, you could call it passive income, but it's not entirely passive. Having these little, well, what we're really talking about
Can I
is,
give an example from your business model?
yeah.
Like there's two types of continuity type income, reoccurring revenue streams, right? One is the typical model that people are familiar with, like a membership site or an auto ship program or something of that nature, right? Where that you get a person to enroll in the membership, and if they like what they're getting from you on a monthly basis, whatever that is, whether it's a physical product or whatever, then they stay subscribed and they continue to give you money every month in exchange for the value that they get from you. So that's one aspect of continuity-based income, and that's certainly a revenue stream that can happen. And I love it. Like go for it by all means. But the other part that people tend to miss that can be a continuity type income stream, a reoccurring revenue stream, is your list. Like the way that you have your list and the relationship with it, you can promote anything to that list. Pretty much. I mean, it doesn't mean that they're always going to buy it, but you can pretty much count on, within reason, a certain take rate with different offers and different things that you're doing. And that's because of the way that you've built your platform within that audience base. And so that when you can go, they're happy to hear from you, regardless of what you're doing. They enjoy hearing from you. Even if you're selling them something or you're promoting something or you're making an offer, it's done in a way that serves them and that they enjoy and that they look forward to, even if it's not something that's for them. Case in point, what we just found out with, what we're doing here, the people that said, no, thanks, this isn't for us, but I love what you do, Telman. You're awesome.
Right.
Like I've been following you for the last 10 years, 12 years, 15 years,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very interesting.
And that's a different type of platform, right? I mean, I accidentally stumbled onto it, and then that's what I built NPod around originally, based in 2003.
Right.
And so that's what you did as your basis, and you added your own twist to it and everything, and built on it and expanded your repertoire, whatever. But the point is that you have an asset that's been with you in various ways, shapes, and forms for 17 plus years now.
Yeah.
And, the only way that that's going to die, so to speak, is for you to delete the list,
right,
and for you to stop emailing and stop communicating and saying, you suck. Don't ever,
right,
contact me again.
Whatever. Yeah.
Right. And so as you come up with new ideas, you have a base to create from that will, provide income, whatever that might be. And that's a very different approach to list building, to relationship building, to platform building, really, because while I still believe that an email list is the heart of all of it, it's still, the email list isn't your platform, in my opinion.
If email was never invented, there'd be something. There are other ways of having platforms. There's just something else would have risen up to take in its place, right? Like email happens to be the cornerstone right now. At some point, it will get outmoded, right? You just don't know when, or by what necessarily. But
yeah, but I mean, like look at somebody that's got a large following fan base of a TV show, like even old school traditional TV shows, and they don't have them on a list, but they have a platform that is reoccurring because they tune in and they listen and they take their recommendations. They like what they get from that person, whatever that connection is.
So we're actively working on our internal definition for really what a platform is. Yeah. We don't have this totally dialed yet, guys. And it seems to me that one part of it is your fan base. Okay, like that's the simplest way to think about it, is who are your fans? That's it. No matter what it is you create, who are your fans? That's one ingredient to your platform. But another ingredient, maybe the only other ingredient, I'm not sure, is the media, the medium of communication, the technology that allows you to stay in touch, right? The channel. What's the channel that you communicate with them with? So you got your fan base plus your channel.
Combined together becomes your platform.
Is that the formula? Maybe. Fan base plus channel equals platform. Who knows? Could be. It's like that's a good working idea.
Yeah, it is.
So if you want to build your platform so that you can have fans and a way to sell your ideas, your products, and your services, or businesses that you're representing as an affiliate, or hey, maybe you're into MLM and pyramid schemes and you want to promote a pyramid scheme to your list. If you have a platform of people that love you, this is
for the record. I love MLM. I think it's the last bastion of entrepreneurial frontiers. And I think if you've had no entrepreneurial experience for yourself, it's a great training ground, provided you get in with a solid organization and that has a good system that you can learn very quickly how to build a systemized business the right way. That's just my alternate take. Now, there's plenty of crap out there, but Telman and I have this ongoing thing. I came up through network marketing and MLM. That's how I got my first taste of entrepreneurship.
MLM makes me want to vomit all over the place.
Yeah, and that's why I was able to enroll you in one, right?
Well, I was trying to like break free from my preconceived notions. Every time I've done that, I've been reminded. I have made a bunch of money with a few MLM programs, Agile being one of them, right? And it's not that MLM is bad. It's that I don't like dealing with the types of people that are attracted to MLM most of the time.
Well, it is a transitional period for a lot of people. In order to become, the reason why I eventually left MLM myself is that in order to become super, super successful, it becomes so routine that you've got to do the same thing again and again and again. And I just, I can train people, and what I loved about MLM was empowering people and helping them break through their limiting beliefs and expectations, and watching them expand and grow. And then as a result, their income and their network would as well. But the repetitive nature of what I had to do to recruit, to train, and then to work people through their limiting beliefs, really, I mean, that's what it came down to, got to me to be very boring.
Right.
But there's people that thrive in that environment, and that's what I would call kind of like a business in a box type.
It's very close. It's like a starter franchise. It's like if you want to buy a franchise but you don't have the money, start with MLM. Like, it'll give you a taste of it. And if you're willing to work your ass off, and you're smart, and you're willing to push through your limiting beliefs about talking to people and selling and how much money you're worth and all that kind of stuff, like, MLM can be a great springboard for a lot of people. I know.
And if you pick the right organization to be a part of that actually builds in a systematic way rather than transactional. I'm
friends with a ton of people who became wonderful, amazing, incredible internet entrepreneurs who started with MLM. Ton of people, So it doesn't mean MLM in itself is bad, but there is this really great Teen Titans episode called Pyramid Schemes, and it talks about the mummy money. It's very fun. They have a whole song. Like, got Robin and Cyborg all dancing around talking about pyramid schemes. It's really good. You should check it out.
Muhammad, I agree with you. And also, if you don't have the confidence to start from scratch and build something yourself, and you want to get in, there's no better proving ground to have that if you find the right one. Now, everything that you just said, the negatives, 100% accurate, in my opinion, my experience, as well. And, if you have the confidence and you have the skills, the capabilities to build something on your own, then in my opinion, you'd be crazy not to, because then you own and control the whole thing and you set the direction and tone. But there are different, types of business for different reasons and different stages of your life. And it's just, I've used different types of those things at various points in my life to help me go from one to the other to the next. And but I agree with everything you said. And also, it just depends on what stage you're at, and if you're looking for, if you're the type of person that has to have somebody holding your hand in a learn by doing, atmosphere, and you don't have yet the skills or the confidence, then network marketing, provided that you're in the proper organization, the proper team, the proper upline that has the proper tools and support, then and of course the proper company and all of that. Yeah,
And
and
go ahead.
I was just looking what Gene added in there and about training and a great place to learn and I mean, if nothing else, it's fun to be around positive people and that are trying at least to expand their awareness, even if they're not successfully doing it yet. If you're in that state of mind where everybody else around you up to that point has been negative and not in favor of what you're pursuing.
Yeah, it is cool that way, especially if you don't have any kind of entrepreneurial support from your friends, family members, colleagues, coworkers, etc. MLM and MLM type businesses. I mean, I remember some of my best sales experience came from selling Cutco knives door to door. Is that an MLM? I'm not sure.
That's direct sales. That's direct sales.
But it's very similar, right?
Yes and no, but yes, I hear what you're saying.
I worked for another company for a little while that definitely wasn't an MLM. It was called skicoupons.com back before I did anything with my own stuff online. And if you enter those types of environments with the attitude of, okay, I know I'm not going to do this for the rest of my life, but I want to learn some skills around selling, marketing, making money that I don't currently have, it's like godsend, as long as you can tolerate it. And personally, like you mentioned about the repetition and having to do the same thing over and over again, like I get tired of that, I think, a little faster than you do, maybe. And so, yeah, following the rules and going like through a series of steps and doing that same thing 100. Yeah, I can't do it. Can't do it. But a lot of people can, and a lot of people can crush it in that environment, And so it is a great way to learn lots of skills and then lots of personal development stuff for sure.
Yeah, Carl said he did over 50 different MLMs, some huge wins and some bombs. I hear you, man.
That's right.
Myself as well.
That's right.
It's an interesting, I mean, like I needed it to get my confidence underneath me. Like I had all these ideas and all these things but I didn't ever pull the trigger all the way through.
Right.
And MLM was the first thing that I actually, and there were plenty of them that I didn't follow all the way through on earlier on, but then I decided to. And the one thing, when I met Randy Gage and became good friends with him, that really gave me a different perspective about network marketing is that, generally speaking, depends on what type of network marketing you're in. People that are superstar salespeople type mentality, they do shitty in MLM because it's not a selling environment. It really isn't. It's a educational type environment. It's a systematic environment. It's really what it is it's teaching teachers to teach. And once you go 3 levels deep on teaching teachers to teach, then it's leading leaders to lead, really. I mean, that's what it comes down to. But if you focus in on selling the product or selling them on enrolling in the opportunity, you are stuck trying to convince somebody rather than enrolling them to be enrolled in working the business. And that's the difference, because in order for you to become successful in network marketing, it's not enough for you to sell the products and to have a success and to be good at what you do. You have to be able to empower other people to not only do the business, but actually empower other people. And that's the only way that that you get the gift of true, geometric growth and like income for life from a network marketing type business. Otherwise, it's as transactional as it gets and sucks because like it's not designed to give you a lot of money for your direct efforts, right? It's designed to give you a lot of money over time as the geometric growth of the organization comes into effect.
Well, and that's where the platform piece happens. So people that always rise to the top in network marketing companies, right? They have a platform.
Yeah.
And these days, more and more people have an email list, have a Facebook group with a following, right? And have multiple different channels that they're communicating with their platform on. But 10 years ago, often people didn't even have an email list. They just had their personal address book in their Gmail account or whatever. And everybody's phone numbers on their cell phones. And that was their platform, but they stayed in touch. And so if you have a platform of thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people who are fans of you and your work and who look up to you as a leader in some way, shape, or form, they like hearing from you, they want your guidance, and they're interested in your help in solving their problems, in particular around money and business, probably, right? Maybe you're a musician and that's and you're playing music and you're trying to build out your platform, or maybe you're a healer, maybe you're an acupuncturist or you're an herbalist, or you're a psychotherapist and you're looking to build your platform because you want to become a best-selling author. Whatever is the case, whether you're promoting a network marketing product or company, whether you want to get into affiliate marketing because you haven't developed any of your own products, but you don't want to be constricted by any of the rules of an MLM, and you're just going to be promoting products through affiliate programs in any industry, self-improvement, food, marketing, whatever, or whether you're selling your own products and services that you already have or that you're going to be creating in the future, if you have a platform of followers, of fans,
built the right way, you get to choose where you go next. For sure. You're
not limited by, you have to take this crappy job or you have to be stuck doing this one thing because you have a platform. So if you're interested...
And you're never limited by any one set of rules when you have your own platform and your own connection with that platform and communication channel. You're never limited. So, like, for example, just to go back real quick to the MLM example, most MLM companies do not allow advertising.
Right.
It's against their rules and regs. However, you can build your own personal brand and your own personal platform following. And then once you can, there's no law that says you can't direct people into your MLM based upon your platform. And the same thing applies with, affiliate marketing, your own product development, whatever, joint ventures, partnering, whatever that might be for you. There isn't anything that like you mentioned authors. So many people think, well, if I write my book and it becomes a bestseller, well, that's a crapshoot. Right? Maybe it'll hit, maybe it won't. And guess what? Even if it's awesome and it's the most breakthrough, phenomenally written book that's ever, it still has greater than a lesser chance of success than, like you might as well buy the ticket to the lotto anyway and assume that you're going to win that before that happens, even if it's outstanding.
Right.
However, if you start with a platform and you have a following first, even if you've never marketed to them, when you start to release your book and you have a following and you have that platform of which to communicate with that following and the fans, you release your first book, you make it a bestseller because your fans make it a bestseller for you.
That's right.
Anyway, right. I know you're trying to bring this to a particular conclusion, and I keep on opening the tap again. So I will shut up now.
Here's the short version. If you want a platform, type platform into the comments. If you like this idea of building your own platform so you have the freedom to go with where your business, wherever you want to in the future, type platform into the comments. Joshua put together something very cool for you. Okay, and it's a business platform assessment that asks you a series of very thought-provoking questions that will get you thinking about this idea of having a platform and whether or not a platform really is the right thing to help you get your business where you want it to go. It will give you a ton of insight. It takes about 5 minutes to go through it. Do you have the link?
I don't. Because we don't have a direct connect to it.
All right, great. So what would be great, just type platform into the comments if you want to take the platform assessment, and then shoot either Joshua or I.
Do you want me to find it and just do a direct link to it? Or
sure. Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
So type platform into the comments and then shoot Joshua or I a private message letting us know that you want the platform assessment just to make sure that we see everybody's. And we'll send you a link, and then Joshua never monologues. Ha 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 ha.
Who said that?
I think it was probably Gene.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was totally Gene.
All
right, and Carl said platform, and Jacqueline said platform. So yeah, anybody else who wants to chat platforms, type platform into the comments. We'll send you a link, and we'll drop one into the comments as well. And after you take the assessment, we'll get back to you with the next steps.
All right. So do you want me to paste this in, or you want to just give it to people personally?
I think we can paste it in this time.
All right. Let me do one thing, and then we should be good to go.
So I'm curious, for those of you who are still watching or just started watching, do you have an email list yet? That's the question, is do you have an email list yet? If so, say yes. If no, say no. What do you think about that? Awesome. Jacqueline, I'm very interested in hearing how your webinar went the other day that you did. I'm glad to see that you're doing those and you're doing so many videos. Really, really good. By the way, Jacqueline earlier said that she got back home after 3.5 months of having to essentially live out of a weekend pack.
I saw that. I meant to mention that.
Yeah. Awesome. Carl is an email list. Nice. I think this is probably Jacqueline, but I'm not sure. Who also said yes? Bum, 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 bum. Yep, it is. Very cool. All right. What do you need right now, Joshua?
About 10 more seconds.
10 more seconds. You've got it. Great. So any other questions or challenges you guys are facing around marketing, your business, please ask them in the comments below, and we will focus on answering them in an upcoming live stream. So if there are any specific questions you have for us, please, by all means, ask away. We are on almost every day at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. And we have so many repeat viewers and long-term fans that just jump on every time and watch our stuff. So it's great to see you guys, Carl and Jacqueline and Jean and Mohammed and the whole crew. Really, really, really nice having you here. And we are, Joshua is dropping some platform links here in a few different places. And it looks like you just popped that into Facebook as well. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, it just shows path.com/platform right now. It's not fancy at the moment, but it'll do.
Cool. And let me go ahead and drop that in my Facebook as well. Yep, that worked great. Awesome. Bum, bum, bum. So yeah, if you guys want to take the platform assessment, type platform into the comments, shoot us a private message, and or click on the link in the comments below if you can see it. And I know that tends to show up in funny ways for different people at different times, depending on how your Facebook settings are set up and dialed in. So I'll just go ahead and drop this in here. The platform assessment. Awesome. All right. I think that's about it for today, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, boy.
What? I think this must be Jacqueline. What platforms? I need to redo my website, get off one shopping cart. I think I'm really still stuck with all the tech. All right. Well, we'll talk about that.
platform is different, Jacqueline, than at least what we're referring to as platforms is a bit different than what you're referring to as a platform of exposure.
Yeah, you got it, Jacqueline, and keep up the great work, everybody. I think that's about it for today. Thanks for a great live stream, Joshua.
Likewise, thank you, man. I appreciate everybody tuning in too.
Rock and roll. All right, we'll talk to you guys.